As we remember, users are one of the three pillars on which the Unix world stands. You can use some graphical interfaces to manage users and groups, but simple CLI utilities are often more convenient. There are add user or user add to create a new user or update default new user information. Group add, create a new group. And passwd, update users' authentication tokens. To create a new user, we, as a root, simply have to run the program add user and set a password with the passwd. The passwd command is not so simple, and you can look into under the hood special permissions bits about passwd as bit lecture. But add user is also a black magic. Actually, all data related to users and groups are placed in common text files that can only be modified with ordinary text editors. The file format is quite simple. One line per user with the colon-separated fields. The fields in order from left to right are the username, the string a user would type in when logging into the operating system, the log name. Must be unique across users listed in the file. Second field is the information used to validate a user's password. And at the very beginning, the password data was actually placed on this field. But we can read this field, but we can read this file as a regular user. This is a design requirement. Did users have the ability to read passwords of other users at this time? Not. In Robert Morris and Ken Thompson's classic article, Password Security, a Case History, about the Unix password systems, Morris described a real life incident he himself saw. Perhaps the most memorable such occasion occurred in the early 60s when a system administrator on the CTSS system at the MIT was editing the password file, and another system administrator was editing the daily message that is printed on everyone's terminal on login. Due to a software design error, the temporary files of the two users were interchanged, and thus, for a time, the password file was printed on every terminal when it was logged in. And the main idea of Unix passwords is not to believe that you can simply hide them. Better not to save passwords in the system at all. Actually, when creating a password, a random code was simply generated, the so-called salt code. And then from this code and password, with a one-way crypt procedure based on the DES algorithm, and the result of this operation cannot be decrypted. Actually, we received some kind of hash. When entering the system receives salt from the password field, encrypts it with the entered password, and simply compares it with the contents of the password field. In most modern uses, this field is actually set to X or asterisk or some other indicator with the actual password information being stored in a separate shadow password file. The third, user identifier number is used by operating system for internal purposes. It needs not be unique. Moreover, a superuser is simply a user with a zero user identifier. And actually, you can have multiple superusers in addition to the traditional root superuser. For example, you can create some superuser with user identifier 0 and a name like hold, and with the command shutdown as a shell for the user and provide the password for that user to someone who needs to shut down the system at night. Fourth, group identifier number, which identifies the primary group of the user. All files that are created by this user may initially be accessible to this group. You can change this default during the current session with the command new grp. Geekos field, it's a commentary that describes the person or account. Some early Unix systems at Bell Labs used General Electric Honeywell mainframe computers with a General Comprehensive Operating System, GCOS, for print spooling and various other services. So this field was added to carry information on a user's GCOS identity. Typically, now this is a set of comma-separated values, including the user's full name and contact details, which may be used by some commands, for example, by mail user agent. Path to the user's home directory. and the program that is started every time the user logs into the system. For interactive users, this is usually one of the system's command line interpreters, shells, for pseudo users who do not need interactive sessions. They could be no login or just false executables, which will exit immediately upon startup. So the description of the groups is also placed in a text file. In this file, we see a similar format, group name, the name of this group, password, the password field that has never been used, group ID, the numeric group ID, and users list, a list of usernames that are members of this group, separated by commas. And finally, a file with real data regarding passwords. As we can see, nobody have access to this file. The transfer of passwords hashed from etc passwd to this file was carried out to prevent brute force attacks using modern computing equipment, which is now becoming cheaper and cheaper. And we can see the hashes of passwords in the second field of the records for each user. A password field which starts with an exclamation mark or asterisk means that the password is locked. The rest of characters in the string represented the password field before the password was locked, and you can simply remove the exclamation mark to unlock it. On a multi-user systems with many administrators, it is advisable to use the VIPW and VIJR commands for editing password and group files to avoid conflicts when multiple administrators are editing the same file at the same time. This file-based machinery for handling of user accounts is not hard-coded. You can switch to network authentication services such as LDAP or WinWind using the setup utility, or simply by editing the text configuration file. Other security-related settings in Linux systems can be done in etc security and PAM configuration directories. As we can see, the Unix system administration paradigm does not hide the details from the user, from the super user. Everything can be configured by hands or scripts. For beginners, such systems simply provide more or less user-friendly tools and wizards to lower the barrier to entry.